Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Elect Starr. Thank you for joining us for navigating grief and loss. Grief is a journey we all experience, yet it is deeply personal and often misunderstood. In this episode, we'll begin by understanding what grief is and explore the many different types of losses that can lead to grief, far beyond death alone. As we do, we'll also reflect on how faith can offer comfort, meaning, and hope during seasons of loss. Let's begin. Understanding grief and the different types of loss. Grief is a complex and deeply human experience. Scripture reminds us in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 through 4, that there is a time to weep and a time to mourn. Grief is not a lack of faith. It is a natural response to loss and a reflection of love, attachment, and meaning. While everyone encounters grief at some point in life, no two people experience it in the same way. Grief can impact us emotionally, physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually. Sometimes grief comes suddenly, and other times it unfolds slowly, resurfacing when we least expect it. This series, Navigating Grief and Loss, is designed to guide you through the many expressions of grief, explore healthy coping strategies, and offer tools to support yourself and others with compassion. Whether you're here for personal healing or professional growth, this space is one of grace, understanding, and hope. Understanding loss through a faith lens. Loss is the experience of being deprived of someone or something meaningful. Psalms 34, verse 18, reminds us that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Faith does not remove loss, but it reminds us that we are not alone in it. Loss can be tangible, such as something physical we can see, or intangible, such as identity, peace, or purpose. Both forms of loss can deeply affect the soul. Primary and secondary loss. A primary loss is the initial or central loss, such as the death of a loved one or the loss of health. Secondary losses often follow. For example, after the death of a spouse, a person may grieve the loss of companionship, shared dreams, routines, or financial stability. These layered losses can feel overwhelming. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 4, Jesus says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." Comfort often comes as we name and acknowledge each layer of loss. Different types of losses. Physical or tangible losses. These include death of a loved one, miscarriage or infertility, loss of physical ability, and loss of possessions due to disaster. Even Jesus grieved physical loss. John chapter 11 verse 35 tells us simply, Jesus wept, reminding us that grief is holy and human. Psychological or emotional losses. These losses impact our inner world, such as loss of identity, loss of self-esteem, loss of safety after trauma, or loss of trust after betrayal. Psalms 147 verse 3 assures us that God heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds, including emotional wounds we cannot see. Social losses. These include divorce, separation or estrangement, loss of community or belonging, and loss of meaningful social roles. Faith communities can be powerful sources of support. Yet, social loss can still feel isolating. Romans 12, verse 15, calls us to weep with those who weep, reminding us that grief is meant to be shared, not carried alone. Developmental losses. These are normal, expected losses that come with life transitions, such as childhood to adolescence, adolescence to adulthood, and aging, loss of independence, vitality, and roles. Even expected changes can bring sorrow. Faith invites us to trust God through transitions, as Isaiah 43, verse 19 reminds us that God can bring new beginnings even after loss. Symbolic losses. Symbolic losses include loss of dreams or future plans, loss of faith or worldview, and loss of freedom or autonomy. These losses can create spiritual tension. Psalms 42 reflects this struggle, showing that questioning and lament can coexist with faith. Traumatic losses. These are sudden or violent losses, often leaving people feeling shaken. These include accidents, suicide, or homicide, and loss due to disaster or injustice. Trauma can challenge one's sense of safety and faith. Psalms 46, verse 1 reminds us that God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble, even when answers are unclear. Ambiguous loss. Pauline Boss describes ambiguous loss as loss without closure. Here are two types: physical absence with psychological presence, for example, missing persons, adoption, incarceration, or military deployment. And two, physical presence with psychological absence, for example, dementia, addiction, or severe mental illness. Faith can offer space for lament without closure, even throughout the Psalms, where unanswered questions were brought honestly before God. Disenfranchised loss. Kenneth Duca's concept of disenfranchised loss reminds us that some grief goes unseen or unvalidated. These include pet loss, loss of job, home, or status, and grief experienced by marginalized groups that society minimizes. God sees every loss, even those others dismiss. Psalms 56 verse 8 speaks of God collecting every tear, affirming that no grief is insignificant. Loss is not only about death. It includes any experience of being deprived of something meaningful. Grief is not a sign of weak faith, but a sign of love. When grief is acknowledged, supported, and held with compassion, healing becomes possible. Thank you for joining us for episode 1 of Navigating Grief and Loss. In our next episode, we'll explore the benefits of anticipatory grief and take a closer look at the 9 types of grief. I invite you to continue this journey with us. Until then, remember, God is near, healing is a process, and you are not alone. Thanks for watching. If this message spoke to you, please like, comment, and subscribe for more prophetic teaching, spiritual growth, and inspiration.